Every journey begins with a single step. For many, the first step is the greatest challenge. Yet for all, the obstacles, the doubt, and conviction teach us about ourselves. It's these moments in life, a test of our abilities, our mind, when we don't know, but we still proceed, driven by the unspoken, but ignited by the obsession that yields some of life's greatest lessons and rewards. Join me as we explore incredible stories of leaders forging industries, enterprises, and ultimately, themselves. I'm your host, Adam Giery, and welcome to Capital Class. Let's begin.
Classmates, welcome to a special episode of Capital Class live from ASU+GSV 2025. Higher education has long stood as an engine of opportunity, opening doors for generations of learners to new careers and new futures. Yet, for far too many students, the promise of a college degree has come with a hidden cost, debt, and a growing uncertainty of value. As rising tuition prices collide with a shifting workforce, the traditional model of higher education itself is at a crossroad, balancing access, affordability, and quality. Today's guest is leading an organization founded on a mission to overcome these challenges. On today's episode of Capital Class, we are joined by Geordie Hyland, CEO of American College of Education, a fully online college with a mission of debt-free and quality education. Geordie, welcome to Capital Class.
Adam, honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
When you look at the American education market, right, what signals are you seeing as it relates to the teacher population, where the desire from educators are to engage in the market? Like, what are you seeing on the ground?
Yeah, well, I think in general, there are large teacher shortages. There's been a challenge with the human capital pipeline for school districts, but seeing a real need for teachers, but also a very fulfilling career. And so I'm seeing more and more people wanting to get into the market as they understand the career progression opportunities and the fulfilling nature of the job. And so at American College of Education, we're really trying to have a position in the market where we can provide access and affordability and quality that brings people in and then helps with facilitating career progression. And I think there's a need for more access and more players like us to be able to fill that hole.
Is it a shortage in the most classic sense?
Yeah.
Or is it that people come in and out of the career maybe too fast?
Yeah. So I think there's versus a generation or two ago where a lot of people grew up wanting to be teachers, and the children of teachers wanted to be teachers. I think there's been a shift where there's at times less people understanding the career opportunity, wanting to go in, but then as they go in, and after a couple of years, they transition out. And so we see a real opportunity to continue to help facilitate that career progression, provide opportunities for the teacher assistants through bachelor completers and licensure, for teachers to have access to master's degrees at affordable prices, principal certificates to facilitate the career progression, then also EDDs. And in many states, there's salary bumps for these additional degrees, and that can really help facilitate not only the career progression for the teachers, but also fill the gaps in the school district's personnel pipeline to be able to not only retain teachers, it's really expensive to lose teachers, but then to also upskill the teachers into leadership positions.
I was the son of a teacher that wanted to be a teacher.
Yes,
so
I know.
I definitely know that pipeline.
Yeah.
I just staying in this line here, you have teachers who come in the door excited to be teachers.
Yeah.
People are still teaching children every single day in America.
100%. Yeah.
Is there part of the work that you're focused on is helping these teachers become more prepared to deal with a different student or a student that needs just more accommodations and more support? And I ask it this way because I'd meet a lot of people who love teaching.
Yep.
But some of the challenges of being a teacher, they just weren't prepared for.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a practitioner model. So our faculty members who are teaching the teachers who are our students are working in the field. They're bringing very practical knowledge and bringing it into the classroom. Also, our faculty serve as subject matter experts, and they're helping to create the curriculum along with curriculum designers. So we're really trying to keep the curriculum alive. We're trying to have very practical knowledge that's passed on to the teacher, to our teacher students, and we're also bringing in the latest knowledge about technology and how to facilitate that. So to your question, yes, I mean, we're really trying to make sure that our student experience is as close to job experience as possible. So they can learn quickly, learn the right knowledge, and then really hit the ground running. And the vast majority of our students are working professionals. So they're teaching while they're taking the courses with us. And so they're able to also directly take the knowledge from what they're learning in the courses and apply it, the same day that they're learning it.
The stories of the struggles of the American education system are maybe well documented, maybe oversold. What do you see? Like, what's the bullish case that you're seeing at American College of Education as in the future of both the teacher and then that impact in the classroom?
Yeah, so I think the bullish case is all of us greatly benefited from having a great teacher. I mean, teachers are at the center of learning. The K-12 systems, higher ed, that's how we prepare our future leaders to be able to be civic-minded, to be able to contribute to society. And so I think there's a challenge in the system where there's been huge tuition inflation in higher ed. That's been lowering the credibility of higher education. And so there's a real opportunity for a more common sense approach to offer affordable degrees, to focus on the practical, and to really prepare a student to be a teacher with a job aligned curriculum, so they can hit the ground running. That's where we're focused on American College of Education. We were founded to provide a largely debt-free education. Our master's degrees are less than $10,000. Our EDDs are less than $24,000. There's a lot of folks that can come in, study with us, and graduate with no debt. And 86% of our students graduate with no debt. I'm often going to events where there's teachers that hadn't heard of us, and they say, I wish I had heard about you. I've been paying off my loans for 20, 30 years. And if I just know about ACE, I'd be able to be debt free at this time. So I think the general point is that I think we're focused on a debt free education and quality. I think there's an opportunity for more institutions to do that, and I think the credibility of higher ed will increase as more institutions focus on quality teaching and learning and more of a debt-free experience for students.
Very common is the CEO founder who recognized the problem. Yeah. And then took that problem and created a business, and that led to momentum and then eventually change and growth. Your story is a little different. Yeah. You come to ACE having a tenure in a variety of some of the most platinum recognized brands in education. How'd you get here?
Yeah, well, so I mean, I'm the son of a doctor and a teacher, and so I always, early in my career, I was at Google, sort of back in the day when they were really trying to change the way that people found information, and I found that a very stimulating environment. I moved into working for an EdTech company and did a partnership with an online school, and provided remedial education into the higher ed market and served adult learners. And then I worked for a healthcare training school that served adult learners and we provided a lot of support in that context. But the education that I was associated with, like many of the other institutions in higher ed, were associated with Title IV, associated with debt, I came across ACE a couple of years ago, joined as the CEO, and really it combined a lot of my interests, but I also felt like it has a unique opportunity to really have a positive impact in higher ed, given that it's designed for high quality, debt-free education that provides an ROI. And we actually had a market research firm, Lightcast, calculate the ROI, where $1 invested in tuition at ACE leads to $19.20 in future career earnings. And that's the type of calculation that I think more students should be thinking about as they're thinking about where to go in higher ed. And so I think there's kind of an education in the market in terms of what's important. The quality of the education is important, but also the alignment to the employer and the alignment to career progression. And I think that's lacking as in terms of being top of mind. Sometimes when students are looking at schools, maybe they're looking at rankings that don't take that into account. And I think it's also not top of mind for many institutions as they're thinking, often I think about institutional ROI rather than focused on the customer, the student, and the student ROI.
You know, what's interesting about your organization is that I've called it an emerging gem.
Okay. Yeah, we appreciate that.
And in some ways, you know, we talk a lot about the journey here, right? From idea to enterprise.
Okay.
And for this story, this business is both new and old.
Yeah.
Right. It's been founded for years, has served a mission for years, but is really now taken hold in the market where it's being recognized as an industry leader.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to the earliest days of ACE? How did this story begin?
No, I really appreciate you asking that question. The foundation of ACE, the foundational story, is really critical to who we are now. ACE was founded back in 2005. There were a number of educators leading the charge, and the original concept was how to create a master's program for educators that wouldn't bring them into debt. The original program of education leadership was about $5,000. They partnered with a large school district and came to market. But a number of foundational decisions were made. One was not to accept Title IV loans, even though we were accredited by the Higher Learning Commission and had that opportunity. And the other was a commitment to keeping the tuition low and quality high and really focus on the teaching and learning. So we've, from the early days, we've really scaled with that in mind. We've kept our tuition for a master's degree and MBA less than $10,000, and the doctoral degree is less than $24,000. We've scaled to currently we have about 12,000 students. We have over 45,000 graduates. So we're really hitting critical mass where there's more and more folks hearing about us, and our brand is starting to have much more recognition, which is fantastic, because I don't think a lot of people in their minds think that you can find a quality education experience that can get you ahead in your career with a ROI without going into debt. I think a real testament to the growth over time and the quality that we're providing is that 58% of our students come from referrals, and that's hugely validating, and it shows that our graduates really benefit from the experience, and they want to pass it on to others that they know.
You know, one of the greatest challenges of a leader is not only addressing the near-term needs of a business, but also being able to take inventory of progress.
Sure.
When you think about the growth of ACE, beyond revenue, how do you measure the progress made?
So I think there's a couple of parts to that. I mean, the first is, we're focused on the student outcomes and the student returns. So we have 85% graduation rates, 86% of students graduate with no debt, 95% satisfaction for our employer partners. Where we offer licensure at the state level, our pass rates are at or above competitors in all of the states. So very strong foundational results for our students. I think that 58% referral rate from new students coming in from our is very important as well. And then that ROI of 1 to 19. So that student piece is hugely important. The other piece that I think about often is that, we're a people business. Our staff and our faculty are incredibly important to our operations, and we're a top workplace. The organization that provides us with that designation from the data they report to us, show that we're 18% above in terms of employee engagement versus others in our industry. So that's very validating. And then we have very high staff retention. And that's, I think, helpful from a cultural perspective, but it also means that our staff can stay with us over time and build with us and really support our students. So that's another piece. I'd say the third piece would be being an innovative institution. We want to make sure that we're allowing our faculty and staff to focus on the student support. So we're also very focused on innovating in terms of using AI, the latest technology, to take off administrative tasks so our staff can focus on building relationships with the students.
As is true of many leaders, they at some point begin to embody their business. Right.
Okay.
In some ways, it's almost their identity.
Yeah.
Which can make it hard to unplug.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you recharge?
So I guess I think that it's important to have hobbies. I think it's important to be very connected to your family, obviously, but I also have hobbies, and I like to have hobbies that are really hard. And I find that when I do things that are really hard, that makes me focus on them. And it's rejuvenating because I completely forget about other things, my job or other things that I'm worried about. So I do a lot of martial arts. I played hockey in my youth. I've got a group that I play with that's once a week on Sunday mornings, and I enjoy that. I also learned how to kiteboard. I live in Tampa, as you do, and so I go down to the pier at the bottom of St. Pete's there, and have learned that. That was very humbling. I took a lot of falls early on, so that's how I do it. I think there's lots of ways to do it, and I also do cold plunges, which I find helpful as well.
Cold plunge is the new thing.
Yeah.
Cold plunge is the new thing.
But I grew up. So I grew up north of my parents had a place north of Toronto, and they had a sauna. And that was kind of in the way that our family spent our time. And then the winter, we'd go and roll in the snow. And so I've kind of replicated that in Tampa with a very small single sauna. And then I do the ice plunge. So I feel like it's part of what I did growing up.
That's a great little bit of home.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Geordie, we get everybody out of Capital Class with our fast four. So it's like right off the top of your head, first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right, we ready?
Sounds like a lot of pressure, but okay.
As an entrepreneur, what trends interest you the most right now in the marketplace?
So I'd say technology and leveraging artificial intelligence technology, but staying true to the authentic delivery of services.
One place in the world everyone needs to visit.
I would say Argentina. My wife's family's from Argentina originally, and I love it there. But I'm a big steak eater, and I would say best meat in the world there.
That's a first for the show.
Okay.
That's a first for the show. Greatest area of growth for you in the coming year?
Greatest area of growth for me personally or for American College of Education?
Both.
I would say in terms of myself personally, continuing to deepen the relationships with our staff and partners. And I would say for ACE, as a company, continuing to focus on building our school district partnerships and serving their needs.
Favorite podcast that everyone needs to be listening to?
Favorite podcast. I wish you'd give me a heads up about this. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I would say the one that I love, that I've listened to for probably 15 years, but he doesn't put out that many. So it's like, it's every 6 months or 8 months, is Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. It's fascinating, but they're like 3 or 4 hour epic podcasts, but highly recommended.
Geordie, thanks for an incredible story and for the work that you're doing.
Great.
For not only the teachers, but for the students of America. We're so incredibly proud to have you as a member of our team, and thank you for joining Capital Class.
Well, thanks for having me, and congratulations on all the fantastic work that you and your team do as well.
Thank you for joining today's episode of Capital Class. If you're interested in joining our next discussion, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. Capital Class is a venture with the Strategist Podcast Network. To view the entire lineup of shows, visit strategistgroup.com. I'm Adam Giery. Class is closed.